Okay, so I need to talk about something that's been sitting with me for a while. And I want to be upfront with you from the very beginning. This is not going to be a comfortable video. Not for me. And probably not for some of you either. And I already know some of you are going to close this video. Some of you are going to type something in the comments before I even finish my first point. Some of you are already forming a rebuttal in your head right now. And that's fine. Genuinely. Because that reaction? That defensiveness we feel when someone criticizes something we love? That's actually part of what we need to talk about today. But I really hope you stay. Because I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm not here to call anyone out by name. I'm not here to make anyone feel like a bad person. I'm here because I'm a fan too. I have streamed albums at 2 a.m. I have bought multiple copies of the same album for photocards. I have stayed up until my body gave out waiting for a comeback. I am not speaking from the outside looking in. I'm speaking from right here. Inside the fandom. With all of you. And I think we need to have an honest conversation about what we are actually doing to the people we love. Because we say we love them. And I believe that. Genuinely. The passion in this community is real. The connection we feel to these artists is real. The way K-pop has brought people together across languages and cultures and continents is something genuinely beautiful. But love without self-awareness can still cause harm. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. So, let's talk about it. Before anything else, before we even get to beauty standards or mental health or any of the heavier stuff, I need us to acknowledge something we don't say out loud enough. We are not just fans. We are an economic force. And I don't mean that in a vague, feels-good kind of way. I mean it in a cold, hard, numbers kind of way. HYBE made over $1.6 billion in 2023. 1 year. One company. That is not a small independent music label scraping by. That is a publicly traded corporation whose stock price moves based on what we do. And that money doesn't come from thin air. It comes from us. A single dedicated fan in a fandom like ARMY or Carrotland can spend anywhere from $200 to over $1,000 a year. On albums, merch, fan calls, concerts, streaming subscriptions, digital content. That is not a hobby spend. That is investor-level money. Think about that for a second. The average Spotify user pays about $120 a year and considers themselves a music supporter. A dedicated K-pop fan can spend 10 times that without blinking. Without even counting the emotional labor we pour in on top of it. And it's not just money. We coordinate streaming parties that chart songs. We pull all-nighters refreshing Melon and Spotify to push our faves up the charts. We bulk buy albums to keep groups on Billboard. We fill pre-order spreadsheets. We set alarms for fan sign lotteries. We make or break brand deals just through how we engage with content online. When a brand announces a collaboration with an idol and we flood the comments with positivity, that engagement is worth money to the brand. Real, measurable money. We have literally trended hashtags that forced companies to make changes. Remember the Luna situation? Fans organized, withdrew support, made enough noise internationally that it couldn't be ignored. And BlackBerry Creative had to respond. A fandom forced a company's hand. That is power. There's a case where an album sold 101 copies in its first week because fans coordinated a withdrawal of support after feeling betrayed by the company. 101. For context, a successful K-pop album can sell hundreds of thousands of copies in its first week. Going from that to 101 is not a dip. That is a fandom saying we built this and we can take it away. And they were right. So when I say we have power, I mean real, documented, shakes the industry, moves stock prices power. Which means we also have responsibility. And that's where things get uncomfortable. Because most of us have never been asked to sit with that responsibility. We've been celebrated for our passion. We've been called the best fandom, the most dedicated fandom, the fandom that shows up. And that's all true. But nobody really asks us what we do with that power when we're not being celebrated for it. That's what part 2 is going to be about. Because the power is only half the story. The other half is what we've been doing with it without even realizing it. See you there.